Crystal meth psychosis, which is also common with mephedrone or 3-MMC, 4-MMC, cathinones. It's really common, and it's more common than people talk about. So the nature of particularly crystal meth and cathinones, they have an effect of, one, keeping us awake for a certain amount of time, but also just release such a high amount of dopamine that one of the most common things that happens, usually day 2 when you've been awake for too long, or more likely to happen when you inject, is a psychosis, which is a scary word, but psychosis eventually is like a paranoia. For some people it can include hallucinations, like seeing things, or sometimes it's not about seeing things, just hearing things like voices. Sometimes, mostly, it doesn't include any of those. It's usually just a perception of persecution. So it's coming to the belief that people don't want me here, or they are whispering about me, or everyone else here is part of a club and they have an inside knowledge that I don't know, and it's all about me, and what is that? Believing that people are filming me and putting them on and uploading it to YouTube to shame me or to ridicule me, to blackmail me. Believing people are intentionally trying to infect me with the diseases. Believing that people are hacking into my phone for various information, trying to get me into trouble, putting files into my phone, or shuffling files around and stealing files from them. Sometimes the purpose is just to creep me out. Sometimes the purpose is to get me into trouble with the law or with my health, or to gaslight me. Sometimes it's a perception of being persecuted. Quite often it's got to do with the shame around doing drugs, or the shame around gay sex, sometimes the shame around sin or religion, if my upbringing has included that. So the paranoia and the perceptions of persecution usually focus on where our shame lives, and that's why it can be so upsetting and so personally frightening. It's like it's uniquely tailored to the shames of the person experiencing it. So we as workers, if we're with someone who's in that state, first of all, it's very hard to know what to do, because it's not wise to tell a person that most likely they're experiencing. First of all, we weren't there. We don't know that the things they're telling us aren't true. So we can't say that wasn't true, and we shouldn't even try. We might get woven into the conspiracy theory that they might be feeling in their head. The thing we should do as support workers when we're with someone who is experiencing psychosis and they're sitting in front of us is recognize that they came to us because they feel safe to talk to us about it. They didn't go to the police because of the people hanging into their phone. They didn't go to A&E because of the dangers that they're experiencing in regard to health or whatever. They came to us because they're looking for someone safe to go to. So first of all, that's a privilege that we shouldn't ignore. Secondly, we should acknowledge that they've come somewhere where they feel safe. So affirm that, sort of congratulate them on finding and choosing to go to a safe place. Ask them what you can do to make them feel safe. Empathize, identify with the fact that they've had a very frightening experience. That must have been very frightening for you. I'm glad you came here to get. I'm glad that you felt safe talking to me about it. I want you to feel safe. Is there anything I can do to make you feel safer? Sometimes a cup of tea or a biscuit, if that's available, can be really helpful. Quite often, it's made worse because they haven't slept and eaten or drank any water in many hours or days. It doesn't fix it. I'm sorry to say, nothing really fixes it. Sometimes I think something like a Valium can calm it down, but it doesn't make it completely go away. Once it's settled in for a good day. Sometimes it's gone when you sleep it off and you wake up the next day, but usually it lasts for quite a few days. But you can calm a person. Sometimes a person has experienced it so often that they can go, oh yes, I'm doing it again, of course that's not true, of course it's ridiculous, yes. And if you can create an environment where they feel safe and just remind them that, has this happened before? Is this a common danger that you experience when you do drugs? Has it happened when you're not doing drugs? But really try not to talk about it too much. The idea, the best way we can be helpful and make them feel safe is to talk about something else. Part of the psychosis is obsessing about the danger. Obsessing and thinking and overthinking and connecting dots that don't exist and connecting dots and overthinking. So when they're in front of us and we talk about them even more with it, or ask them to explain it more, or indulge that process of thinking, that thought process, it's not helping. Our job is to distract them from this. They're spending enough time overthinking it and trying to figure out the danger. Best thing we can do is sort of, how did it start off well? You know, did you have in the first few hours when you were with some people, did you have a good time? Did you meet some nice people? Have you had some really good chemsex experiences you want to talk to me about? Or what did you do last weekend? Let me talk about that. I'm curious about that. And if you can get people to talk about a good experience, a memory, or something they're looking forward to, and distract them from that hyper-vigilant over-obsessing of the danger they're in and the overthinking. If you can just stop that, then they can sometimes come back to planet Earth, have a brief realization that they are safe, and they can get home. So check that there's someone safe to go home. They're going home somewhere where they do feel safe. Let them know that if they do feel in danger, they can go to the emergency department, or they can go to the police and report it. Even if we think it's not true, it's the right thing that, you know, they should know that the police are there to help them. It's our job to sort of let them know that that's an option they can do. But essentially, it's really hard to make this go away. It's, even though a Valium can be helpful, it's not wise to just dispense it in a chemsex situation. We don't know if that person has done G. Very likely, G and Valium are a very, very bad mix and can cause an overdose. That's a prescribed drug, and it's best not to do that in that situation. If they really do, if you really think they need medicating to help them with the psychosis, it really ought to happen in an emergency department where they're really good at managing this stuff. Best thing we can do is make someone feel safe. If you're in a chemsex environment, you can turn on the lights, change the lights, change the music, take the porn off and put some Disney on, just to go for a walk in the sunshine, or in the fresh air. Change the environment and just try to interrupt that overthinking, obsessive danger dialogue they've got going in their head with distraction and good vibes, upbeat. That's how we can really help a person with that. But it's an awful situation. It's terribly frightening. There's nothing that stops it. It fades away when a person has slept and stopped using the drug. And it's a lot better when you're with someone who's making you feel safe.